The most dangerous thing you can do in any organization is save it. Not fail it, save it. Because the moment everyone knows the place survives because of you, one person starts counting, the person above you. In 1630, the best general of an empire was arrested at a palace audience and executed as a traitor by the emperor he had just rescued from an invading army. The charges were false. The emperor knew the man had saved him. He signed anyway. I have watched this rule enforced in every dynasty that ever raised a wall. It has never missed. The rule is simple. Never become more useful than your boss. Usefulness feels like safety. It is the opposite. Past a certain line, your value stops protecting you and starts accusing you. This is how it works. Watch. China, 1619. The Ming Dynasty is losing the northeast. A new power, the later Jin, led by the conqueror Nurhaci, has smashed the Ming armies and taken the Liaodong frontier. The generals sent to stop him fail, one after another. Into this collapse walks a man with no military training at all. Yuan Chonghuan is a civil servant. He passes the imperial examination in 1619 and works as a county magistrate in the south. Then he volunteers for the frontier. In 1625, the court panics and orders a full retreat behind the Great Wall. Yuan refuses. He stays at a forward fortress called Ningyuan, almost alone, and prepares to hold it. He prepares in a way no Ming commander has. He acquires European-style cannon, the Hong Yi Pao, through Portuguese and Jesuit contacts. Other generals roll their guns outside the walls, where cavalry cuts the crews down. Yuan mounts his on the battlements, high, with interlocking fields of fire. In early 1626, Nurhaci comes for Ningyuan expecting surrender. Yuan's garrison is about 10,000 men. The records disagree on the size of the host outside. The most cited figure is 130,000. But every record agrees on this. His side was small, and the other side was not. Yuan writes an oath in his own blood. He bows to his own soldiers. He executes deserters. And when the assault comes, his cannon break it. The later Jin take terrible casualties, around 17,000 by the standard account, and withdraw. It is Nurhaci's first defeat in a lifetime of winning. 8 months later, Nurhaci is dead. The Ming say Yuan's cannon wounded him. The Manchu records say illness, made worse by the shock of losing. Either way, the old conqueror never recovers from Ningyuan. In 1627, Yuan beats Nurhaci's son and successor, Hong Taiji, at Ningyuan and Jinzhou. Court faction forces him into retirement anyway. Hold that thought. Because in 1628, a new emperor takes the throne. Chongzhen. 17 years old, inheriting a bankrupt state, a poisoned court, and a war he is losing. He recalls Yuan and makes him supreme commander of the entire northeast. This is the peak. Remember what it looks like. It does not last a year and a half. July 1628. A formal audience before the young emperor. Yuan makes a promise that will follow him to the execution ground. Give me full authority, and I will recover all of Liaodong in 5 years. Chongzhen is thrilled. He mortgages what remains of the treasury to fund the campaign. He raises taxes. He strips resources from every other front. And he hands Yuan the Shangfang Baojian, the imperial sword. In the Ming system, that sword is the emperor's own killing authority, delegated. The man who carries it may execute first and report after. Yuan now holds more real power than any servant of the dynasty. He believes the sword means what it says. It does not. Permission from power always has a ceiling, and the ceiling is never written down. Summer, 1629. July. An island called Shuangdao off the coast near Korea. Yuan sails there to meet Mao Wenlong, commander of the Dongjiang garrison, a base behind enemy lines. Mao is famous, connected, and rotten. He swallows hundreds of thousands of taels of silver a year, runs his own trading networks, squeezes the Korean court, claims false victories, and ignores orders from Beijing. To Yuan, he is an obstacle to the 5-year plan and a thief in a uniform. So Yuan convenes the meeting, reads out 12 capital charges: embezzling military funds, killing civilians for fake combat credit, taking imperial privileges for himself, and has Mao Wenlong executed on the spot, under the authority of the imperial sword. He does not ask for a fresh edict. He does not wait for Beijing. He judges, sentences, and kills a commander of his own rank, a man who holds his own imperial sword, granted by the previous emperor. Stop here. This is the mistake, and it is not the killing. It is the permission. Power forgives wrong decisions made with permission. It never forgives right decisions made without it. Your version is smaller, the deal you closed without looping in your manager, because you were right and asking was slow. Same law. Now watch what reaches Beijing. The report arrives at the palace. The record keeps the emperor's reaction. Chongzhen is shocked and horrified. Then he does something more dangerous than rage. He hides it. He praises Yuan in public. He issues an edict confirming Mao's crimes. He swallows everything, because the frontier still needs Yuan. But inside the throne room, one fact is now permanent. The emperor commands a man who does not ask. And an emperor who cannot control his best general has only one way left to control him. The warnings were already on the table. Look at them in order. First, 1627. After the Ningjin victories, the greatest Ming battlefield success in a decade, Yuan is not rewarded. He is impeached. Censors loyal to the eunuch dictator Wei Zhongxian accuse him of advancing too slowly, and he is forced into retirement. Read that again. Victory was answered with an investigation. In that court, winning was never a shield. He came back anyway. Second, his own diplomacy. To buy time to rebuild the line, Yuan opens covert peace feelers with Hong Taiji. To him, it is a stalling tactic. To the paranoid factions in the capital, any private letter to the enemy is treason waiting for a stamp. Third, Mao Wenlong. The trust between emperor and general is already dead. Both men are simply pretending otherwise. The Ming had a retirement plan for indispensable generals. Yuan was about to receive it. Winter, 1629. Hong Taiji does not attack Yuan's fortress line. He walks around it. With Mongol allies, his army breaks the Great Wall far to the west and drops onto the undefended country around Beijing. The court calls it the Jisi incident. The capital calls it the end of the world. Yuan reacts the way only Yuan can. He takes about 9,000 veteran cavalry and force marches them nearly 300 miles from Ningyuan, so fast they outrun their own supplies. On the 20th of November, 1629, his exhausted men hit the 8 banners outside the Guangchuo Gate of Beijing. Yuan fights in the line. His armor is struck again and again by arrows, and the invasion stops at the walls. Because of him. Now look down from those walls with the court. They do not see a rescue. They see a general who marched a private, loyal army to the capital in days, on his own decision, and became the single reason the dynasty still exists. The suburbs are burning. The officials whose estates are in those suburbs want a name. Rumors spread that Yuan let the enemy in on purpose, to force a peace deal and squeeze the throne. Stop here. Understand what the emperor sees, because your boss sees the same thing in miniature. To frightened power, the savior and the threat have the same silhouette. Someone the organization cannot survive without. Fear does not check resumes. It counts leverage. Now watch how little it takes. Hong Taiji supplies the excuse. His men let captured palace eunuchs overhear a staged conversation about a secret pact with Yuan, then let them escape. The eunuchs run straight to Chongzhen and report treason. It is a plant. It works because the emperor is already prepared to believe it. On the 13th of January, 1630, Chongzhen summons Yuan to an audience with his commanders. There, in front of them, the emperor accuses him of collusion and of the unauthorized killing of Mao Wenlong. Yuan cannot disprove evidence that was manufactured to be undisprovable. He is stripped of rank and thrown into the imperial prison. The consequences arrive within days. His deputy, Zhu Dashou, watching his commander vanish into a cell, mutinies and marches the elite cavalry away from the capital. Beijing is naked again, until Yuan, from prison, at the throne's demand, writes to Zhu begging him to come back and defend the emperor who jailed him. Zhu comes back. The general Man Gui takes over the remaining forces and is killed at Yongding Gate, his relief force destroyed. The trial takes months. The verdict was never in doubt. On the 22nd of September, 1630, in the west market of the capital he saved, the sentence is carried out. The people of Beijing believe the treason story completely. The crowd paid the executioner for pieces of him. 9 months earlier, they had watched him fight for their walls. Your version will not be knives in a market. It will be a restructure. A project quietly taken away. A promotion that goes to someone safer. The rule has not changed since 1630. Only the instruments have. So learn the warning signs from his file, because they translate directly. 1. Your last win was answered with silence, or an audit, not thanks. That was 1627. When success triggers scrutiny instead of reward, the system is telling you what it fears, and it is not failure. 2. You have started making calls above your level, because you are right, and asking is slow. That was the island and the sword. Every unauthorized decision you get right builds the case that you no longer need permission. That case has only one verdict. 3. In the crisis, you are the only one who can fix it. And afterward, the room goes quiet around you. That was the gate. The week they cannot live without you is the week they start planning to. Every century, someone believes competence will protect him. I am still waiting to see it happen. And here's what the emperor's victory bought. 14 years after the execution, in 1644, rebels take Beijing. Chongzhen hangs himself. The Manchu army Yuan held at bay pours through the pass, and the Ming Dynasty is annihilated. The state killed its shield, then died of the wound. One more thing. In 1784, the Qing, the enemy, reviewed the captured Ming archives and formally cleared Yuan's name, praising his loyalty. I have read the file the enemy kept on him. Even they knew he was innocent. It took his own side 154 years to hear it, and by then, his own side did not exist. The rule is not that loyalty is worthless. The rule is that usefulness has a ceiling, and the ceiling is your boss's fear. Yuan Chonghuan was the best employee the Ming Dynasty ever had. That is why they killed him. 14 years later, there was no Ming Dynasty.